Welcome to the Grit of the Matter, where we talk about what it takes to grow through life's unexpected challenges. I'm Denise, and this podcast is built on 5 pillars: grace, resilience, intentional, trust, and thrive. These conversations are for inspiration and education only and are not substitute for medical or professional advice. Please consult your qualified provider for your personal needs. If this resonates with you, be sure to like, follow, share, and make sure to turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get to the grit of the matter.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Grit of the Matter. If you are just joining in, if you're not new to me, I love my job. I love it. I get to meet some extraordinary people and I get to have good conversations with great people. And today is no different. Today, I have Jamie with me. She has a large background. So I'm so proud and privileged to have her with me today. Jamie, hey, how are you? And
I'm doing great.
How's
Thank
it going?
you. I'm going to let you finish your intro. This is awesome.
So Jamie, I'll go ahead and start us out by just asking if there's anything specific that you would want somebody to know if they first meet you. What would you want them to know about you?
Oh man. I'm actually a genuinely I love people. I love listening to the different stories that people have, where they've been, what they've experienced, and just sitting and being present with them and just listening. And I think a lot of people just need that sometimes, is to just sit and listen and be with them. Whether it's a good time, a tough time, just somebody who's willing to really listen wholeheartedly to what's going on. And am I willing to give my thoughts and opinions on a situation? Absolutely. But when it's right, I do genuinely love listening to people.
Yeah, that's a good trait to have, though. There's not a lot of, let's say, open listeners, I guess, is that the word I want to say, where you can listen, but not give like your stern opinion, right?
Yeah.
There are some people that just need that ear. It's like, okay, because I have people that come to me and they're like, look, I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to hear what I got to say. I just need to talk about this. I need to talk this out. I need to rash it through. Can you just listen? And I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people that you can talk to me for hours. And if you say, I don't want to hear anything out of your mouth, it's hard, but I don't.
No, I get it. I mean, it's just sitting there listening and thinking through, let's say they have a challenge on their plate and they're trying to digest through it and they don't know how to approach it. I'm not perfect by any means. But I go back to, getting that second opinion and just be like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'll always preface it. I'll be like, my thought and my way might not be the right way, but you could look at it from this angle. And I just try to have a very unbiased opinion on situations. Now, if I'm asked my personal opinion on certain situations, I'm willing to give it, but it just depends on the audience. So, I love listening. So,
and to have that to where you listen, but also have that sense of knowing when to speak. It's a good thing to have, because a lot of people, they will say what's on their mind, whether you want it or not. You know what I'm saying? They just kind of blurt it out and like, this is what I would do, whereas someone that has that real good listening skill, and there's not a lot of people out there like that. There's not a lot of people. They listen, but do they listen? Do they really truly hear what that person is asking? It's like, and maybe they're in a situation where they're just begging for you to open up and hear what they truly are having to say.
Yeah, it's definitely, I always say everything we as humans learn to do, it's learned. We're not born with it, and it's definitely a daily practice. And there are days, I just got bad days where I'm like, I'm just a really poor listener. And then there's days where I'm on point and listening to the different perspectives, especially when we're managing people and teams, and knowing there's always another side of the story. And we can fall prey very easily to the one bias in the situation, or the one story in the situation, and have a biased thought on that. But knowing when to step back and go, okay, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, but what's the other side? And more often than not, every single time I've had conversations, especially within teams and people, there's always that other side of the story. Maybe some similarities between, but then you also find out, just we as humans, we can be a little dramatic. Sometimes some people are more dramatic in some cases. But it's a skill that I've had to work on almost daily. And then the other skill is sorting through the noise in the story, or I also refer to it as the static. Sometimes those are emotions, especially if there's, a challenge on somebody's plate and it's very raw, and so that you're going to have a lot of emotion in that situation. I myself have fallen into situations where I can be very emotional when it comes to a situation, but then also learning, going, okay, right now is not the time. One, I need to be talking to people. Two, I need to be giving thoughts and opinions on stuff. I need to know to step back, collect myself, get my feet positioned underneath me, get some space, clear my head, and then reapproach the situation. So it's definitely a skill, and I'm learning every day. Not perfect by any means. I've made my fair share of mistakes, and I will end up making more mistakes along the way in life. But yeah.
Yeah, and you call it static, but I call it being in the middle of a storm. Because
Yeah.
you think of a hurricane when you're right in the center of that eye. Like if you know anything about storms or hurricanes, tornadoes for that matter, you have
Yeah.
that hole, right? And you have all that debris flying
Absolutely.
around you. That's all those people, what they're thinking, what's going on in their head, and they could be all over the place because they're in
Yeah.
the middle of that and they can't see the light through that.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I also call it out of the box thinking too. So some of us have that out of box thinking, and I use it in a daily thing every day in my
Yep.
exercises and stuff like that. It's just people say that I can see through that noise or that storm, and I can kind of like feel my way through that situation. So I totally agree with you, but it is a learned skill, I guess you'd say, a learned skill.
Yeah. There's definitely
Not.
Yeah, there's definitely is. I mean, and we can talk more about the military stuff, but I remember, the fight, flight, freeze. Especially in a tough situation, most people will experience that fight, flight, fleet, freeze. I learned a new one recently called fawn. I have a great gal I work with, and she actually introduced me to this as we were having this conversation, and she explained what she does. She's like, she fawns, and it's her way of agreeing with everything that is being discussed, even though she doesn't agree with the situation, she doesn't agree with the decisions being made. Under duress and stress, she fawns in the situation, going, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that." Um, but then, yeah, you've got the people that freeze up and fight and all that. And, some people, they'll do multiple of those. Or there's, knowing ourselves, I always say, and how we operate, is identifying which one you primarily go to. And once you figure that out, you'll kind of know, like in a particular situation, going, okay, these kind of situations, I'm a fighter. In these type of situations, I freeze up. And so coming on to the podcast, I was like, ooh, this is probably a freeze up situation for me, because it's it's an uncharted territory for me, but very grateful, and I've got to push myself into this. So yeah, very grateful for being here, and very excited.
Well, I will say first off, I'm excited that you're here and you're doing great. You're not freezing. You're following along. You're doing really good with it. You act like a natural right here. So go ahead and take that on to, put it on your corkboard or whatever.
Oh
Pat
man.
yourself on the back. You're doing
We were like, I got that t-shirt. I did a podcast.
so I will yeah, so okay, now that we're talking about a little bit, we're getting through some of that. I know personal things about you. You've been in the military, you've worked in different jobs, you also have your own company. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh man.
Any
Yeah.
any of those or all of those, either one.
Yeah. So I'll give you a little history background on kind of like where I've been and what has led me into some of these career paths that I've been in. I always say I'm a jack of all, master of none. So I love learning new things. And so, I mean, growing up in northern Wisconsin, small town, mother and father, grew up, divorced when I was very young. So I had to learn to become very resilient and figure some stuff out. I had an older brother that was 8 years older than me. So by the time he grew up, I was basically in the house. I was by myself, being raised by a single mom. And we talk about grit. My mom is, man, she's got the most grit out of any person I've ever met in my life. And how she did it, I can't even figure it out. But she did. And I'm very grateful for what she's done and the impact that she's made in my life. And so growing up, we kind of moved across the state of Wisconsin a few times, and that's because my mom actually put herself back through school. She used to work at Uniroyal Goodrich Tire Company in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, closed down. And of course, my mom was sitting there going, what do I do now? I've got 2 kids. I'm a single mom. So she sold the house and took the funds from the sale of the house and put herself into school to become a manufacturing engineer. So I'm sitting here and I'm watching this at a young age. And at that time, you really don't realize what's going on. And you don't understand like what mom's doing.
I lost sound.
And now that we're older, I get it. The grit that she has had to put herself through, and endure, just to keep a roof over our heads, and knowing she worked nights to make sure she was there during the day was amazing. So as I grew up, I graduated from Appleton East High School in Wisconsin, and I left for the U.S. Navy. And I remember when I made the decision to join the military, I sat back, did the ASFAB, I did the ASFAB, but I also did the ACTs, and I was like, college is not for me. If I went to college, I'd be a wild child and I'd never be focused. So I decided to go off to the military. I originally was thinking Marine Corps because my brother was a Marine. I have a lot of Marines in my family, but my grandfather was Navy. And plus, I also liked the opportunities that the Navy offered. And this was kind of an interesting story. I used to be a ballet dancer for 13 years when I was young. And I always say I took my ballet shoes and turned them in for a pair of boots and a rifle. And I did. And so I joined the Navy. When I was 17, they had what's called a delayed entry program. And so I was signed up with the Navy early in my senior year of high school and cut my hair off and did all the things and went off to boot camp. And I joined the Navy as what the Navy calls as a gunner's mate. In layman's terms, it's, I focused on guns. I was a 5-inch 54 cannon gun mount captain that was on a USS destroyer. It was crazy. I was like, just the bullet alone that we shot out of this gun was like 75 pounds. And so it was pretty substantial. And then you had the powder casing behind it. But so I was getting exposed to that. And then I went to 25 millimeter school and became a 25 millimeter mount captain. And it was almost like a drug. I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I got into small arms. smaller weapon systems, handguns, rifles, and that kind of stuff. And I really, really focused on learning more. And like I said, it was a drug for me. It was, this is cool. I want more. I want to learn more weapon systems. And so, yeah, I joined the Navy. I stayed in for 4 years active. I deployed 3 times during my active duty days. And then I got out for the wrong reasons. From active duty, just, certain people in your career you just don't mesh with. And I allowed that one person to alter the course of my life. Now I always go back and I'm like, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if that didn't happen. So was it just meant to be? Where would I be if I would have stayed full active duty for 20 some years in the US Navy? Who knows? Would we have actually met at Lake Cumberland? Would I have met my husband? Would I've, all these things. So everything happens for a reason. Yeah. And so got off of active duty. Didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. My departure from the U.S. Navy was very quick. Back in 2003, the U.S. Navy really they weren't prepared for so many of us to be departing from the military because we had so much what they called sea time. And there's this other thing called a stop loss where they prevent you from leaving, basically. But because I had so much sea time in a 4-year period, I remember it to this day. It was an administrator on board the ship that came up to me and handed me an envelope and said, your ticket back home is here. You need to pack up your stuff. You got 30 minutes and there's a bus leaving for the airport. And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. So, and we were deployed. We were in the Middle East, and I was on board a ship, and I had 30 minutes to pack my stuff to get on a helicopter and on land to get on an airplane to start heading back home to San Diego. So it was very quick. I would say within 72 hours, I went from Middle East area being deployed to standing outside the front gates of San Diego Naval Station. And my brother happened to be out there. He got out of the Marine Corps and went into home building construction, and he came and picked me up. And I stayed with him for about 6 months, had no idea what I wanted to do with myself. And he kind of helped navigate me through some things. And he's like, hey, a friend of mine's got a gig. Have you ever poured concrete? And I was like, no. And so I learned how to pour concrete during a summer around, fancy pools and all that kind of stuff out in Southern California. And so here I was during the summer, doing concrete. And then I got picked up by a home builder. And this is where I got introduced into construction. Construction has been in the family, but I was making my own way and figuring it out. And my brother, he has always been a mentor of mine. As always, brothers and sisters, we always have our issues every once in a while, but he's always been like a father to me, and just being there to listen to his little sister. So got done with that, worked for the home builder for a little bit, got done with that, and then I thought I wanted to be a police officer. So I was an adrenaline junkie, and I was like, what would be a really cool place to go be a police officer? What better than Las Vegas? So I know. So I thought Las Vegas would be a great place to be a police officer. Did some ride-alongs. Las Vegas was 3 hours away. Got accepted into academy and quit for the wrong reasons again. It's, I look back at that, and once again, it's like, where would I have been, today if I would have stayed in the police department? I would have been with it for 21 years. And, I was the academy recruit that wanted to do SWAT. I wanted to be the first female SWAT police officer for Vegas. And I remember when I walked in and I was quitting, and the they called them TAC instructors during the academy. He pulled me into a room and oh man, he was cussing at me. He's like, "What the F are you thinking?" And I quit for the wrong reasons. And that's where I guess I learned, that was a hard lesson learned in life about allowing other people to dictate what you do in life. And that's what happened. I allowed somebody to give me an ultimatum. It's, the ultimatum was me or the police department. And I fell prey to that. And so it was a lesson learned at a young age. So I got done with that, went back into construction, worked with some amazing people, never burned a bridge in my career. I still maintain contact with many folks that I've worked with in my career. Went into general construction for a large construction company. Fast forward many years, I now live in Kentucky, and they always say when it rains, it pours. And so I got a phone call. I was finishing up a very large job for a food manufacturing company, and I got a call from mom who got diagnosed with some cancer. Thankfully, very grateful we pulled through it. She's good. She's been in remission for over 5 years. But during that time, it was mom had cancer. My husband ruptured his quadricep muscle. My dad needed a knee replacement. And then mom needed more surgeries. It was almost like a country song, because then on top of all that, my stepfather died and all of that. So within a 2-year span, I was like a traveling nurse, not really certified nurse, but I felt like a traveling nurse for 2 years. And I always say, it was like, if anybody has to go through a quadricep muscle tear with their spouse, please call me. I think there needs to be a 12-step program just for dealing with that, because it is a career killer. It will push your relationship to its maximum ability. But we made it through. We got through it, and it's amazing. Just an amazing experience. I know that sounds contradictory, but I think it's made Eric and I even closer. And a mutual friend of ours also went through a similar situation with her husband. So I didn't realize quadricep muscle tears were that common, but they are. So during that 2 years, I'm like, hey, I need something to do, because I got nothing else better to do, because I'm a workaholic. I'll admit it. And I've always wanted to start my own business, because even during all of that stuff that I was doing, the police academy and working full time, I took advantage of the GI Bill and put myself through school to get a business degree. So I was going to school at night, working during the day, going to school at night. Got my business degree, and I always had this desire to own my own thing. And so what better to do it? I had the desire. I was very fortunate. I had the financial ability to do it at the time. And I went all in. So it's like going back to the Vegas days of just put all the chips in the middle of the table. I was like, here we go. Here's my whole entire savings going into the pot. And I just taken a massive gamble to see if I could do this. And man, I always say, anybody who goes to create something of their own, there's so many things you learn through it. And yeah, it's been amazing. But did that for several years, still up and operational. Where Outfitter Coffee Company is the company that I created, and we can dive into why it's called that, and where we specialize in, and the uniqueness of the business. I ended up getting a phone call from my former employer that was like, hey, we have an opportunity and we need your help. I was like, all right. So we talked, and I was like, well, my business is a non-negotiable. That's a no-go. If you're going to ask me to step away from that, it's not meant to be. So we worked through that discussion, and I ended up coming on board to help them with training project management, because that's what I did for over 20 years in construction, was project management. Contract negotiations, change management, risk management, sequencing of work, big buildings. I mean, all the things. And I had a lady there that was the head of human resources. very much like a mentor to me. And she must have seen something in me, and she's like, I need to get her back in here. And so to date, I've taken a program that was very small. It was created for interns that were coming in at Gray, collaborated with the team, got the content, and in an analogy, I basically took the program and injected it with some steroids, and now we have a very robust project management fundamental program that I just received approval for and launched officially across the entire company 5 weeks ago. And we just wrapped up our first official cohort last Thursday. And they're now talking to me about, like, can we take this on the road? Can we get it in more locations? So I'm anticipating we are definitely going to Atlanta. We're going to Charlotte. We're going to have another one back here in Lexington, Kentucky. And then we're even talking like possibly Birmingham, Alabama, and taking it to some other locations. And so that 2026, I was saying, it's pushing me into the spotlight. Being a lead instructor and facilitator for a 40 plus hour training program has really pushed me into the unknown of, getting that intense feeling in your gut, stepping in front of a classroom of 40 people, and teaching what you know. And so it's been mind blowing. And so here I am today, and there's a lot of other stuff that's been sprinkled in there, but yeah, it's been a wild ride, and hopefully it continues to be a bit wild. So
Yeah. So I'll bounce off a couple of questions. I want to ask a few questions
yeah.
from your military standpoint.
Mhm.
Is there anything that stands out to you that, like, really transitioned where you were? I know that you had made the comments that you left abruptly, and
Mhm.
that if you hadn't done that, it may have been a different way, right? Is
Yeah.
there anything specific that stands out to you that was like, that was my turning point, right? That really was where I was supposed to be at that immediate time. And
Yeah.
that's was it supposed to happen to me at that immediate time? Because I look, of course, I don't know 100% what all happened and what made your choices.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. You don't have to,
No,
but
I'm an open book.
out to you. I mean, if it was a situation that you were in personally, or if it
Mhm.
was due to the business portion or the military portion of it that
Yeah.
caused these things to happen for you. Because what I want my listeners to know is, if anybody might be going through something like this,
Yeah.
and they're in that storm,
Mm-hmm.
maybe what you say could help them see the light at that storm. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So I did end up going back in the reserves too. So there was some overlap in there. So I would say in my 20s and 30s, yeah, I was really busy. So I was working in construction, going to school full time at night, and then of course throw the reserve period in there too. So total combined was 17 years. But I go back to that active duty period of that moment you talk about where I left abruptly.
Mhm.
And yeah, I allowed that one person to alter the course of my life. And I really, really wish someone was standing there with me on, we called it the fantail of the ship. It was on the back of the ship. I'll never forget it. It was sunset. It was on my 25 millimeter. And I was just sitting there looking out into the ocean. And I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And what it was, I allowed somebody to threaten me. And I was told that if I was going to re-enlist, I'd have to work for this person for 2 more years. Well, this particular individual was out to get everyone.
Mhm.
And I was like, so I sat there and I waited. I was like, all right, if I stay here, this one person could alter my career in the US Navy, because they were in my chain of command. And
Yeah.
thankfully, I knew somebody above this individual.
Mhm.
They tried to get me to stay, but I already signed the paperwork. I wish I would have talked to him sooner.
Yeah.
And I'm still connected to him today. It's fantastic. Yeah, he's just a great individual.
Yeah.
But that one person that altered my career, if I went back and could tell myself one thing, is Just hang on. It's going to change eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being forged in fire.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not very comfortable. And we don't understand the why behind it. Why is this happening to me? Why, why do I have to deal with this? Why do I feel like I'm being attacked? Why do I feel like I have to be on the defense? And so rather than understanding that was a forging in the fire going on, it was like I hit the emergency eject button and I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I can't take it.
Yeah.
But if I would have known that it was just temporary and it was making me into a better person, yeah, things could have probably been very different today.
Yeah.
For still a good path, just very differently. And I allowed that one person to alter the course of my history. And to this day, if I could now go back and look at that person, I probably, to be honest, thank them, for teaching me that lesson. But yeah, I wish I would have had somebody stand in there and just be like, it won't last forever. This is just hang on, and it'll be a little bit of a wild ride. But through that grit, as you and I talked about previously, there's a lot of grit right there. But there's other places that I've had to have grit too in my career, and it's just inevitable. I think everybody's going to experience some kind of animosity, resentment, life impacting change decision in their life. And I always say, in those moments, try not to do the knee-jerk response. And I did. I made the knee-jerk response and I signed the document. I'm going home. I'm done. And I wish I would have just taken like 48 hours to mull this through, to think through it. And I just didn't know back then. I didn't know to take the time to pause. Am I making a good decision? So
yeah. And that's what a lot of people need, especially younger people that are in any situation like that. If you think about that, because maybe they haven't had the person in their life that could have been like, okay, take a breath. Yes, you're in this storm, but it's almost, look at it another way. It's almost like a roller coaster. You know how it goes up and then jerks right back down. You never know how your body's going to react to that, right?
Yeah.
That whole jerky move. So what you don't realize is that your life is doing that. And you can either, I always say, you can either let it make you or break you, right? You can let it you have paths to take. You always have a path to take. You can either choose the left or the right, maybe go backwards, right? You can choose those, but don't make that, like you said, don't make that jerk decision. Give yourself that time. Take a breath and do that. So yeah, I mean, I agree. And with you saying that, if there's anybody that listens to this, they would know that, number one, they're not the only person it's ever happened to.
No, they're not alone.
Right. You're not the only person that it's happened to. There's plenty of people before you. There's going to be plenty of people after you that similar situations happen with. So my biggest thing is try to find that mentor, as you want to call it, or that friend that has been through, they may not be through the same thing, but they can give you that little bit of peace about, let's slow down and let's take this choice. But when you're in the middle of that, sometimes you feel like it's you need that jerk decision. And we all do it. We're all human. We all do it. I'm not saying that nobody does it, not saying we're perfect here, but it happens. But if you have that to where you can just be like, and breathe it out for a minute, or take that 24 hours or that 48 hours and just clear your head and get out of that storm for a second. And sometimes it'll change that, but it's put you in a different direction. So saying thank you to that person, that put you into that point to make that converted your choice. They didn't make it for you, but they helped with that decision that you made. Let me say that, right?
They altered the trajectory of my life.
They helped you make that choice. And, you saying that you would tell them thank you. especially in the military sense, right? That's
Yeah.
what they're there to do. They're there to help you push yourself to
Yeah.
do those things, to make those choices. And I mean, I know I've talked to several people that was a choice that they made. They were like, I'm done, I'm out. And
Yeah.
that's okay. It's okay to make those choices.
Hmm.
Just don't let it take you down a negative path. Let it add to your future, not take
Yeah.
away from your future.
Yeah. And, you mentioned mentor, and there's one thing about a mentor that I always recommend somebody seek out. And we can fall, and when anytime I say we, I always like we as humans,
Mhm,
we can fall prey to seeking out only the people that agree with our agenda.
mhm,
You want to find the yes person that agrees with your story, that agrees with your stance, and you could have this grudge and this frustration against this person, and they're sitting there going, "Yeah, go get them," and I'm like, find
yeah,
that person that's going to push against you and be like, "Whoa, is that really what you want to do? Is that a wise
mhm,
decision?" And I go back to the gut
yep,
check, and a good
mm,
mentor will challenge you and be like, maybe
mm,
not, might not want to do that because you might end up in jail. It
mm,
might not be a good
yeah,
decision. Um, and so
yeah,
that mentor, I mean, I've had several mentors throughout my life, and I'm very grateful for all of them. Some good, some not so good. But they've every single mentor I've had that was a good one challenged me in the moments when, you know, I made my decision and this is what I want to do. And they're there to stop me and go, hang on, is that really what you want to do? And then, well, yeah,
mhm,
and they're like, pause for a second. Let's look at the long term impact of that decision.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so they kind of open your eyes to be like, oh, I never
mhm,
thought of that. Because I go back to the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn is when we're in that
mhm,
fight situation or flight situation, we're not looking downrange. And it
mhm,
back when I was a weapon instructor, we used to tell people like, hey, put this gun in your hand, we're going to teach you how to shoot a target. And fight, flight, freeze happened all the time. And you didn't realize this on how it connects to life.
yeah,
And anytime on a gun range, you put a gun in somebody's hand, it's almost like you get tunnel vision. You lose the peripheral vision of what's going on because your
mhm,
anxiety and your stress just tunnel vision you, and you're not looking out here. And that
mhm,
is where, in those moments of stress and anxiety that send you into that fight, flight, freeze, fawn situation, you're getting that tunnel vision and you're like, this is what I'm doing. And that mentor sitting there going, let's take the blinders off and let's look at your peripherals and let's look at the big picture, not just
mhm,
this one part of it. And
mhm,
so that has been a huge impact, positive impact for me, was finding really good mentors that actually pushed against my immediate reaction. So,
mhm. Yeah, having somebody that gives you almost that devil's advocate,
yes,
right?
absolutely. Yes.
They're like, "But what if?
Yeah.
What if?"
What's the long term risk with this decision? So if you go down this route, I
Yeah.
cannot guarantee I can bail you out from jail.
Yeah.
It's like, good point. All right, maybe I shouldn't do that. And you're like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's I think that's a good mentor to have, and I have a few mentors. I mean, they're friends, they're mentors, whatever you want to call them, but it's people that I know that I can go to, and they're going to be like, "Okay, think about this first.
hmm
Think about this for a second. Are you sure?" And I've had several people do that in the last months. Now, I'm not going to say that I haven't had some that have come to me and they're like, "Why are you doing my podcast?" They're like, "Why aren't you doing this yet? You're so good at it. Why aren't you doing
yeah,
this yet?" But you also have those ones that's like, "Okay, pause.
yep,
Make sure that this is something that you're truly into, or make sure
yeah,
that this is something that's truly going to be valuable to you, not just you, but them too. Make sure that it's going to be a reflection of both. And so having those people, whether they're friends, you can call a friend a mentor. I really believe you can, because it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
A lot of people think that you have to pay a mentor, right? That's the whole big thing now is mentors. You pay those suckers. No,
No.
a mentor is someone that you can go to that is someone that will give you. Sometimes you need those, okay, it's all good, we're good. You do what you need to do. And then you also need those people. This is where it all happens. And they say, okay, stop it. Think
Yes.
about this for a minute.
You need the
upside the
occasional
head.
slap in the face to like kind of like wake you up. It's like you get in a trance, and
Yeah.
yes, you need that mentor, that friend that's going to sit there and just be like smack you across the face. Hopefully not literally, but figuratively, and just be like, "All right, wake up for a second. Look at
Yep.
this from the big picture.
Yep.
Look at that long term outcome. Is this really
Mhm.
truly where you want to go?"
Yep.
And I look back, relationships. Gosh, I mean, if anybody says that they haven't had a challenge in their relationship with their significant other is lying. I was like, we
I
all have challenges,
know.
and we all can have those moments where it's like pretty intense. And I guarantee everybody has had that. And there will be those moments where it's like, I can't do this anymore. That friend is going to be like, stop, you know, this is normal.
Yep.
What you're experiencing is normal. And
Yep.
just take a few days
Yep.
and to just like breathe it through. Hey, come on and spend some time with the gals or the
Mhm.
friends or whatever, and clear your head. And lo and behold, you're perfectly fine. And I found, you know, most mentors that I have are really good friends. And
Mhm.
it's the back in the when I was younger, I was like, I have to have quantity. I have to have lots of friends and always be in the big crowd. And I was like, not anymore. My friend circle is very it's small.
Yeah.
And when I sit and I look from a 30,000-foot view at the friends that I have, you and I have connection at the lake. And it's like the group of the ladies that we hang out with and their husbands, we're all very similar.
Mhm.
And I think we're all very mature. And when there's a dramatic situation going on outside of that circle, we all look at it very similarly. We're
Mhm.
like, try not to get wrapped up in the drama and all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff, and just chill, and we can
Mhm.
bounce stuff off of each other. And to me, it's a very healthy relationship. If I have
Mhm.
somebody who's constantly agreeing with everything that I'm doing, I'm probably going to start questioning, be like, "Hmm, are you,
Yeah.
are
Are you
you,
just telling me this because you want me to shut up?
yeah." It's like,
You want to
so,
my ego or something? And
right.
that's one thing that I absolutely do not like. Don't agree with me to just make me feel good. Don't.
Yeah.
If
I
you
was,
think it's a stupid idea, say, look, this is dumb. Tell
yeah.
me.
I was like, man, we could go down a rabbit hole on a lot of stuff, but yeah, you know, I don't look at having lots of people in my life as like the cool thing. I was like, it's, I want to, this is going to sound kind of not selfish, but maybe arrogant to say, but I was like, I'm very selective on the people that you allow in your inner circle.
And
And you
you have
just,
to now.
yeah. And I was like, and you sit there and you look at the folks that, if you looked at everybody in my circle and their personalities, I was like, we're very mature for the most part. Unless we're having a good time on the weekends, but it's I can
That's
call
right.
up any of
There's a time
you.
and a place.
Yeah, there's a time and place. But I was like, I know I can call up any one of you and just be like, here's my situation, here's what I got going on. And every single one of you are listeners too. I was like,
Mhm.
and it's it's nice to have that. And I don't feel judged. I can go down a rabbit hole on judgment too. Am I guilty of judging people? Absolutely. We all judge people. But I was like, I don't feel judged amongst my friend mentors. I'm
Yeah.
listened to. And I don't have somebody sitting there, judging every step I make. And usually if I get in the presence of somebody who's very, very judgmental, I will usually back off. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very respectful, but I just back off. It's just not my
Yeah.
thing. So, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to throw something in there on that, because I will tell people, I'm like, I'm probably one of the least judgmental people that you'll ever meet. Right.
Hmm.
It's not saying that I'm never judgmental, because that's just kind of like a
Yeah.
human.
We all judge, and
You
it's, yeah.
just look at somebody and you're like, but
Hmm.
and I'll tell people that I'm like the least, and other people will say that too. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but when you have that crew of people that
Hmm.
that you go to, and you can genuinely talk to them and know that they're not secretly sitting there being like, well, she's a dumbass. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you swore first. All right. So you're going to have to beat that out. I'm doing so well.
She's a donkey.
He's a dumbass. Mhm.
So I mean, when you have that group of people, or you have that one person, that
Yeah.
mentor, that doesn't look at you that way. They don't look at you like you're insane or you're dumb or what you're saying is crazy. And I know that I've done that within my friendships with different people that we know. I
Yeah.
mean, probably even you. I've been talking off my head, and you don't look at me like I have 15 eyeballs.
Right.
You know, I mean, it says,
Yeah,
you
you're
know
human.
that look.
Yeah.
You know that look.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I mean, it's like just the friend circle, and mentorship, and kind of going back to like what you were originally talking about with you know that moment that altered my life, and how that changed me. It made me look at people a bit differently. And then of course through every single event in life,
Mhm.
I was like, it alters your view of people. And
Mhm.
I can see how some people become very jaded against other people. I can see that. And hey, I respect that. Um but there's also the forgiveness thing in there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think our friends and mentors in our lives need to be those people that are out for the better interest for you.
Mhm.
And that was also a defining moment in my life, was learning that the people that support you the most are your true friends. It's, how do I put this? I'm a little tangled with my words. It's you can have friends that have ulterior motives. Um, and they will behave like they're your friend, but then the moment you want to set up a boundary,
Mhm.
their attitude shifts
Mhm.
or changes, or whatever. They can become pissy.
Mhm.
Hey, I'm not going out tonight. WTF? Why not?
Mhm.
Well, you should. I can't believe that you're not doing this. Blah blah blah. I'm not going out tonight because I'm just not in the mood, and I shouldn't have to defend myself with a true friend. Most true friends are sitting there going, "Hey, not a problem. Hey, we'll see you on the
Yep,
next one."
that's right.
But if it's like we're not living our lives for some people the way they think we should be living our lives, those are the ones that have the biggest issue.
Yeah,
Especially when
absolutely.
you start setting up those boundaries.
Yep.
I wish I would have known this when I was like in my 20s about boundaries, and we could go down a rabbit hole on boundaries too. But yeah, it's amazing when you start setting up boundaries in life,
Mhm.
healthy boundaries that protect you,
Mhm.
and who you are. The true friends show up,
Mhm.
and the ones that we thought were our true friends that are having the biggest issue because of your boundaries were not true friends at all.
Yeah.
So it's
And
interesting.
yeah, well, and not only that, but your true friends are kind of going to come out when you need them the most.
Yeah.
So everything is all hunky dory. You've got all these people around, but when you have that one devastating challenge,
Yeah.
they all disappear if they're not your true person, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like And I always say every season has a reason. And I say that in the sense of there's people that come into your life in different seasons of your life. And
Yes. I
every
love that.
season has a reason.
Yep.
And every person that comes into your life, whether you know it at that very moment or not, they have a reason, whether it was to teach you a lesson
Mm-hmm.
or to be something more,
Yep.
right? And that lesson could be a negativity, something that came from the negativity of it, or it could be something positive that comes out of it from whatever the positive situation is. But then you learn who those people are
Yep.
by the horrible things that could come along. And everybody is going to have something that is horrible to them. It may
Mm-hmm.
not be horrible to anybody else. You
Yeah.
know, you could have stumped your toe yesterday and it broke your toe, and that was the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Well, that's your deal. That is your tornado. That's your storm.
Yep.
And your people, they're like, okay, we got this. Let's see what we got to do. Or those other people are like, whatever. I've had much worse things. It
Yeah.
don't matter. It's not your storm. It's
Yep.
it's not their storm. It's yours. You're
Yep.
just supposed to back them up. You're supposed to be there for them and supposed to help guide them in in the direction that they want to go. But I agree. And that comes from
Yeah.
friends, that comes from mentors. And I think that's why your true friends become your best mentors, or your best
Yeah.
mentors become your true friends. I think
Yeah.
it works. I kind of think it works hand in hand, because I have some true friends and I have some true mentors that are friends. And I would not take anything for them. I wouldn't give any amount of money to get rid of them ever.
Yeah. There's also one topic that this is kind of strummed up in my head since we've been talking. I hope you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Is expectations and how expectations can put us in some very difficult situations,
Mm-hmm.
especially when we have high expectations. This is something I've had to teach myself. I screw up all the time. And I always have to go back and go, did I have high expectations set? And the thing is I go back to the human factor. Everybody's different. And everybody's capability is different. And man, we could go down a rabbit hole on this. I was like philosophy and the
Yeah.
human factor and all the things. But I go back to, if I set my expectations really high and my expectation level may be extremely high for others, but to me
Mm-hmm.
it's normal.
Right.
I have my high expectations, I've got my normal, but my normal expectations may be really high for others.
Mm-hmm.
And expecting somebody to live in my storm the way I think they should live in my storm
Mm-hmm.
is unfair to them. So
Mm-hmm.
now I go back to, do I have the right to be upset with them because they're not with me in my storm?
Mm-hmm.
And initially, you know, we can have that emotional response of going, damn it, why aren't they here? They need to be here. I've been there for them every single time they've had a situation going on and they're not here for me. And maybe they can't, they want to, but they are not capable of because of other obligations. And
Maybe
so
they're
that
in
is,
their own storm.
yeah. So this is a whole mind game. I could use a different word than game. You'd have to use the buzzer button to boop, you know. This is a mind um where, for an example, a few years ago we had a big storm that hit our property, and we had like 17 trees go down, and very grateful and fortunate. Fun fact about me, I can run a chainsaw with the best of them. And so my husband and I, we tag teamed, and we were cutting up these trees on our property because tree companies in the area were charging very inflated prices. They wanted over $4,000 a tree that was already on the ground. So we were like, screw that. We went and loaded up our chainsaws and we started working on it on ourselves. And during the cleanup, we had a couple of people come in and help us for as long as they could. Very grateful for it. But the individuals that my husband and I have spent countless times helping and assisting on many things were no-shows. Like, not even a phone call. We'd be like, hey, are you guys okay? No, we were not okay. Like, we had a disaster. And, for a moment in time, I sat there and I was pretty pissed.
Yeah.
And I was like, we go around, we help all these people, everything, and when we needed the help the most, they were nowhere to be found. Not even a phone call. But we also got phone calls from people that wanted to come and help. Very grateful for that. Phenomenal. And it was crazy. Everybody down in our lake group, they all called. They're like, are you guys okay? We wish we could be there. We're like, thank you so much for checking in on us. But a lot of these folks that we have helped, not even a phone call. And like I said, that initial reaction, I was very pissed off. I was like, man, we've helped you out a ton of time and you can't even render a phone call. Then a little time went by and I sat there and I was like, you know what? They might not even have known that we were hit. They might not know what to do. And maybe they felt for us, but they didn't, because they didn't know what to do. They didn't know if a phone call would have been right. There's that obligation. And so I had to put myself in their shoes and be like, I get it. I'm not mad at you. And, if we were in your thoughts, that's great. And so I initially I had these expectations set for these people, and bad on me. I was like, I can't sit here and put these expectations on people. And it's a challenge. Everybody does it. We do it and we don't even realize we're doing it. And so that's a mind beep for everyone, is to stop and go, are my expectations actually the reason for some of the challenges that I'm having? And when we let that go and we just deal with the situation, the storm, and just take it one bite at a time and just remind ourselves that, hey, this is just part of life. This is what we have to do. Hey, welcome to home ownership. And just eventually it gets cleaned up and we're fine. And I have to constantly and continuously remind myself that I'm above the ground. There's a gal that I know here locally, Jessica Jackson, phenomenal gal. I have not given her the time or the energy that she deserves, and just phenomenal gal. And she always talks about being above the ground, being grateful to be there. And I follow her on social media and I'm very excited for her, but I keep going back to what she said. Just be grateful to be above the ground. We're north of the ground. That's her little tagline. And so I try to focus on that. And, working with my husband, we've talked about expectations, and he's going through it right now. He's having a realization that he has really high expectations on people, and that could be part of some of the challenges that he's facing. And the realization of that is very profound. Watching somebody realize that. But once again, we're human. We can fall prey and go back to our fixed way of being. And this is what we used to be. And I always used to have expectations. And so it's just catching yourself in those moments to go, I am putting some pretty high expectations on somebody that probably doesn't have the ability to do it. Like, I can't expect somebody to just come in on the property and be like, get a steel chainsaw, start it, let's go. It's woo. It's not
Let's do it.
I always say you've got the willing and the able. You've got willing, but are you able? And so,
and you know what though? Throwing that in, Jamie, look at it this way, that we can't control other people's thoughts. We can only control our own and how we react to anything.
Yeah.
And your reaction is the only thing that you can control. That's with
Yep.
anything, whether it be an emotion or whatever that it is. So, looking
Yeah.
at it that way and just taking that breath. Yeah, we're not telling you to hold it against anybody if they can't help you in some way. It's the fact of, I always try to put myself in the other person's shoes, because
Yeah.
if, like, I mean, I've had many storms that I thought were storms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of people that haven't been 100% there, but it's not, I didn't shut them out. I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, okay, maybe this wasn't your time to help me or to be with me, or again, maybe you were going through your own storm, right?
Yeah.
You never know what that other person is going through, ever.
Mm-hmm. Ever.
Never. Never overestimate what, or underestimate what someone else might be going through too. And I
Yeah, we
always
can
do that.
apply
I
that.
always put myself in their shoes.
Yeah, we can easily apply that. Like, I think everybody has felt frustrated when they're driving their vehicle and they're on the road and they have a person in front of them that's, I know your face says it all. It's like, oh, do they not know how to use a blinker? Do they not know how to drive? They're all over the place. Hopefully, they're not drinking. We don't want that. But, we can have that frustration because we think that they're driving like a challenged individual. And
Mhm.
I try to sit there and go, they could have just gotten a phone call that their spouse is divorcing them.
Mhm.
They could have just gotten a phone call that the insurance company isn't covering the total loss of their home. You know,
Mhm.
who knows? We don't
Right.
know what somebody else, like you said, we don't know what they're going through.
Yep.
Um, and when you start doing that and putting yourself in other people's shoes, I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, it's practicing that empathy,
Mhm.
and it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy to be able to. Not everybody has that ability, and that's the other thing I have found is not everybody's an empath that can sit there and feel what somebody else is going through. And that is, I always say that's kind of, it feels like a curse at some point.
Mhm.
I consider myself an empath, and you can walk into a meeting with 30 some people in there and you can just start reading the tea leaves, and you don't even have to talk to them. You can
Yep.
just feel the room.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's like a curse sometimes.
Mhm.
And I've experienced that several times, especially in my professional career outside of coffee in construction management. It's going in that room and sitting in the corner and being the quiet one and just reading the tea leaves. It sounds very judgmental. I go back to, it's like, are you
Yeah.
judging me? No, I'm just feeling the room. I'm
Mhm.
I'm reading your body language. I'm listening to what is being discussed, trying to sort out the static, the emotions in the room. Because I don't know about you, if you've ever been on a construction trailer or in a construction trailer on a massive job site with a bunch of alpha personalities in the room, it can be pretty wild.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's trying to sort through and problem solve, take all that static out, and look at what is the real problem that we're dealing with, and what are
Mhm.
some solutions we can bring to the table. So
Or another way to look at that is listening to
yeah.
what's not being said.
Yes.
I mean,
Mhm.
because you can definitely see it in body language, in
Yep.
temperament, in any of those things. So even if it's somebody that's not saying something, you can get a feel, and you're truly listening to what's not being said in that very moment.
Mhm.
Just watching
And
the reactions. So you're
yep.
hearing something without them even saying a word.
Yep. And it's keeping a lookout for those individuals in that room, because they very much could be the solution to the problem that you're dealing with. They're sitting
Yeah.
there, they have the solution, but due to the personalities in the room, they're shut down
Yep.
and they're just leaving it lie. And
Yep.
so, as somebody in that room, if you can identify that, and if you're leading that conversation and have the ability to see that person sitting there, call on them
Mhm.
and be like, hey, Sam, do you have anything to
Mhm.
say on that? And get
Yep.
them to talk. and you'll be surprised. They very well may have the solution to everybody's problem in the room.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Cool.
So, I mean, we've had a lot of conversation, right?
I know. I was like, this hours went by so fast. And I was like, we even really got into the grit of things. You know? I have like a little note. If you see me pick up my pen and I'm writing, I was like, all right, mentor, Wisconsin expectations.
I saw you marking stuff off.
Yeah.
Well, so before we move into anything else, I mean, we've gone down a lot of different rabbit holes already, but tell me a little bit about your coffee company. I want to hear those things. I want to hear the grit things.
Yeah. So, I'm going to get really real with folks. And you have to understand this part of the story to understand why it was created. So in 2017, I'll say this. I would not be here today if what happened in 2017 did not happen.
Okay.
And it's interesting how I say the man upstairs, everybody's got their own thoughts and who their higher power is. And it's amazing how certain things and certain people come into season at the right moment. And I was a struggling veteran. I had it all planned out. I was suicide was on the forefront of my mind, and I was ready. I just did not find value in anything. And in 2017, I was sitting at the office. Nobody who I worked with knew. I was so good at pretending I wasn't pretending. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
And I go back to a lot of people, I read these stories, they're like, I had no idea. It's because we're really good at hiding it. Mm-hmm. And it's a skill and it's an art, but it all comes down to shame. And that's a whole nother topic for a later day. But in 2017, I was sitting at my desk and I had a gentleman come up to me and say, hey, you're being assigned to this committee at Gray, and you need to be in a conference room in 15 minutes because this nonprofit organization is coming in to present because the company I work for gives out, I think it's a 1% of their total gross revenue. They donate. And so as a $6 billion company, that's a lot. That's a huge grant. And so we were having these nonprofits come in and they selected the nonprofit. And so the one that we selected was coming in to give an update and all that kind of stuff to us. And I was like, okay, so I'm on this committee. Great. It happened to be a veteran organization. Cool. So I'm sitting in this, we call it a fishbowl conference room. So big glass wall, there's about 15 of us in there. And I happen to sit down at the conference room table, and then the nonprofit comes in, and the founder of the nonprofit sat down right in front of me across the conference. The conference room table is like a big long oval, and he sat down right across from me, along with a couple other people from the nonprofit. And he kept looking at me during this whole meeting. And I was like, okay, this is really weird. Why are you staring at me? I didn't ask him. And I was keeping myself in check because this nonprofit focused on veteran suicide. And I was like, wow, this is pretty real. And so I am like, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I'm not struggling. I'm not a struggling veteran. And so at the end of the meeting, the founder comes up to me and says, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm fine. And he's like, sure you are. Can we step into a conference room for a minute? And I was like, okay. Well, him and 4 of the other people from the nonprofit come in with him. So I'm standing in this conference room with 5 people from this nonprofit that are focused on veteran suicide. And the nonprofit is no longer in business. Anyway, so he looks at me and he's like, "How are you really doing?" And I busted into tears, just broke down in front of all of them in this conference room in our office.
Mm-hmm.
And they wrapped themselves around me, and the owner, the founder of the organization, looked at me and says, "I could see you across the conference room table." And he's like, "You're doing an impeccable job hiding it." And so they sat me there and they're like, "We have a cohort coming up for women in 2 months. You've got to go through the interview process. We can get you a seat." And I was like, "Okay, sure." I don't want anybody knowing that I'm going to this because I was ashamed of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through the interview process and we talked about some pretty raw stuff in the interview, and I go to the cohort and it's about 5 days. And there was a very eye-opening awakening during that cohort. And the best, there was an analogy they used during the cohort is that we as humans, basically, if you think of a car, if you think of us as a vehicle with 4 seats in it, you have the driver's seat, the passenger seat, and the 2 back seats. And you have 4 passengers in there. You have the firefighter, you have the manager, you have your true self, and then you have, there's the 4th, which is your, I'm forgetting the word, but it's basically your raw self in that room or in that car. And they looked at us and they're like, "You get to choose who's driving that vehicle. Your firefighter is the one that wants to burn the whole building down. Your manager is wanting to control everything. Your true self is who you truly are deep down in your heart. And then your, gosh, I keep forgetting the name of the 4th one, is like your raw self, where you show emotion, you're letting it all out." And my firefighter and my manager were running my life. I was a fighter. I go back to the whole fight, flight, freeze, fawn. I was a fighter, managing everything, in control of everything. And I let that all go. I was like, I can't control everything. It'll kill me. And then the fighting part of it, it was not physical fighting. It was just emotional pain that I had to release during that program. And so I went through it and I came back home, and the program wasn't the hard part. It was the work afterwards. It was digging into the trauma. It was digging into all the things that we've experienced and digesting through it. I even went through a 12-step program for ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics. Not that my mom and my dad were alcoholic, but they were functioning as an alcoholic household, even though they weren't alcoholics. And a lot to learn there, whole nother rabbit hole we could go down. But that is where my vision came from as a warrior. And I was like, man, I want to create something. My business entrepreneur came into play. And so I was tinkering around on a computer one night on GoDaddy. I was like, Warrior Outfitter. Surely that name is being used somewhere, because I want to outfit somebody. I want to just we're all warriors in life. We all have a story. We're all in this game together called life.
Yep.
And how do I outfit people with what they need to play the game? And so on GoDaddy, I'm like, Warrior Outfitter. It's available. But somebody owns it. They own it, but it's available. It's for sale. And so that was the first time I rolled the dice and went all in on the table. And I was like, all right, so I bought this domain name for like $2,000. Didn't know what I really wanted to do with it right away. I just thought, I was like, this is cool. That word warrior kept coming to me because we're all fighting battles. All our battles are different every single day, whether it's traffic, whether it's, we're having challenges with our spouse, our kids, pets. We got to take them. We're like, gosh, why does this have to happen at the most inconvenient time? It's a battle, and it's a balance. Like right now, Eric and I, we're going through a battle right now, not with each other, but we bought a boat, and we got a little bit of an issue that we're dealing with right now, and not the most convenient thing. It's a battle we're fighting right now, and so my mind went to apparel. I'm going to do apparel. I'm going to do shirts and sweatshirts and this and that and hats and all this stuff. The apparel industry is very challenging. So I scratched and went back to the board, and I was like, okay, what do I love to do? What do I love? I was like, coffee. I love coffee. And the coffee industry has definitely exploded, much like the microbrewery industry. The specialty coffee and all these little nuanced roasteries have really just exploded just like that. So I always say I was in play before all of that, just not well known. And out of the blue, once again, somebody came into season, and I get this inner message on Facebook from a gal that I knew back in Las Vegas when I worked in construction.
Wow.
And she's like, hey, Rodrigo and I are living up in Ohio, and we were wondering what you guys were doing. I think you're in Kentucky. Let us know. We'd love to catch up. Now, the entire time that Rodrigo was the project manager that I worked with at the time. He's a Brazilian and just speaks real fast, and I never will forget working for Rodrigo. All good things. He made me a better project manager in my life. And his wife was a fellow redhead. So we connected. We went up to have dinner with them, and come to find out her family has been roasting coffee for more than 50 years. And she offered me an opportunity to learn the industry, not just any old coffee. And many people might not know coffee is very much like wine or like a steak fillet. I mean, there's grades of quality. And the coffee that they focused in on was the specialty coffee. So this was premium. And we're not talking grocery store coffee. We're talking like you go to a wine store, we're talking the wines that are scoring 80 points or higher. The bottles are probably $100 and some a piece. So their coffee, they have a Q grader, which is just like a wine sommelier. They are certified. They're a Q grader. They do cupping. They taste coffee. They grade the quality. Coffee is graded on a 100-point scale, just like wine. And all their coffee is 80 points or higher. And we're like, holy crap, this is like really good quality. And they just started mentoring and teaching and guiding and coaching. And like last year, Eric got to go to Costa Rica to spend a week with one of the farmers. He got to pick coffee cherries and go through the entire process of the coffee at the farm. And we've learned how to cup coffee. So we went through the whole development phase of logo design and packaging design. Everything on our packaging represents something, all the way down to the pattern. The honeycomb pattern represents community, because as we know, bees are a community and we're all different. So you'll see different colors of the honeycomb pattern. That represents we're all different. But the other cool part is it's a really badass camouflage pattern that I'd love to put on a pair of yoga pants someday. So, hey, Lululemon. Hey, I'm just saying, I've got a really cool pattern. All original. I really like a pair of yoga pants with this pattern on it. So, um, that's the honeycomb pattern. And I've slowly been shifting our colors a little bit on our website just because, just brand identity. I keep going back to the red, white, and blue because that's my patriotic side. But we do have, like, on our labeling of our coffee, we have blue and red and yellow. Yellow, of course, is decaf. Who does decaf, right? We offer it though. Um, blue is our non-flavored line that is blends. So a blend is multiple different specialty coffees all blended together to create a very unique flavor profile. Athena is one of them that I've picked as my ultimate favorite, is an espresso blend, and I'll explain the Greek mythology names behind that in a second. But yeah, Warrior Outfitter came into fruition and just slowly been building it a little bit at a time. Everything is roasted and ground to order. So if you were to order today, it'll go into production tomorrow, be roasted up, packaged, and shipped. Most orders will receive their coffee within 7 to 10 days from date of order, and it's fresh as all fresh can be. So that's kind of the gist of the operations of the company and how we became to who we are. So the name Warrior is like, hey, we all have a story. We're all fighting our battles. We're all working through life, and we're not alone. And yeah, the name is bold and it's big, and it's because we're all warriors in life.
Yeah.
So Greek mythology names. So fun fact, 24 hours prior to launch, we had to change our coffee names.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Our label company loved us. Not really. So I originally had names of true warriors that were in existence. Like you have the samurai. There was one called the Amazonian. That is actually a true women's tribe of warriors. They actually found remains of this tribe that used to be a mythological tribe, but they have proven that it did exist. And it was women buried in tombs with big swords and spears and weapons. And so they were fighters. And I loved the name the Amazonian. And our marketing team at the time called us up and were like, you're going to have trademarking issues. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And they're like, you're running a major risk. And I am construction project management, risk management. I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So we reverted back to Greek mythology names. Now, once again, Greek mythology, they're all warriors. So my favorite blend is Athena, and we've got Achilles, which is our flavored blend. It's more like a grog style. Achilles, of course, the Spartan warrior. We have Olympus, which is the house blend, the home of the Greek gods. So that is our house blend. We have several other ones that we can pick from. Hera, the queen. So that is our light roast, and she's the queen of all of it. But we are looking at also single origin coffees. Our first one, we're probably going to name it the Hand of Poseidon. So it's La Manita de Poseidon will most likely be our first one. So we have a little Spanish in there because it's coming. The single origin will come from La Manita Farms down in Costa Rica, which is little hand. And then Poseidon is the Hand of Poseidon. So from the Hand of Poseidon, the god of ocean. So yeah.
That's awesome. That is so
Everything's
awesome.
very intentional. So this is the first time I've actually been able to explain our story publicly on who we are and why we exist. And so every day I was like, our coffee is designed to get you ready for the day. And if you're in the afternoon drinker, hey, it'll get you ready for that meeting in the afternoon. Our Athena blend, I will tell you, it'll probably make you hear colors, high caffeine content. So I actually had a gentleman who had some, and he came up to me at a conference that we provided coffee to, and he told me, he's like, I think I hear colors. He was so spun up on caffeine, and so it was hilarious. So
That's good though. Those names they're strong,
yeah,
right? They have meaning, and it was crazy that you were saying that everybody has a story. I say that all the time. I do. I
mhm,
say everybody has a story of resilience in some way.
yeah,
In some way. And like I said earlier, it could be that you stumped your toe and you got through that. That
yep,
was your resilient story. If that was your resilient story, talk that thing up. You made
yep,
it through that path, right? But then you have those others that are going through those larger than life stories
mhm,
that they truly need. They need that. They need that oomph. They need whatever it is. And whether it be that they're drinking your coffee or just listening to your story,
yeah,
right? That might be what gets them through, you
yeah.
know?
It's amazing. I mean, I was like, I wish somebody told me back when I was younger, you're not alone, because you do. You feel. I go back to that moment in time when we're younger, and I'm like, we feel so alone. And that's where I see these younger kids that are coming into project management, or I meet them on the street, and you know, the resilience part of it. It's okay to fail,
Mhm.
because if you don't fail at something, you aren't going to learn.
Exactly.
And you know, if I had any advice for, and this is going to kind of be counterintuitive to it, but I don't have kids. That doesn't mean I don't wish I had them. But if there was anything I could tell kids today, even if they were my own, or tell their parents, and be like, let them fail, let them learn, let them stub their toe, let them get the chafe on their knee, let them, I don't want them to break an arm, but I was like, let them experience life,
Mhm.
because that builds resilience,
Mm.
and they learn something from it. So if we're constantly, blocking and protecting and doing all that, I see it right now. I was like, I've got these amazing kids that are coming through the training program. They are so scared to make a mistake.
Mhm.
Um, and it's because they were never allowed to make one.
Yeah.
And to look at them and go, we got you, we'll be all right, but you're going to learn this. I will give you a life preserver, but first I'm throwing you in the deep end, and I've got to see what your ability is first. Then I can assess, like, what do I need to give you? I
Mhm.
won't let you drown, but I need to see what your ability is, so then I know where the baseline is to grow you. But
Mhm.
yeah, let our kids learn. We've got to
Yeah.
teach them resilience. Get them out from behind that computer screen. Get them out behind the phone, and get them out.
Well,
Socialize, be with
and
people.
two, yeah, like, and two, going back to that, it's not only resilience that it teaches them, it also helps build that empathy
Yes.
for the
Yeah.
other the situations, So,
Hmm.
and I always do say that of like, that I'm a trainer, and that's one
Hmm.
thing that has made me very empathetic. And I say this all the time. These surgeons, these physical therapists, these trainers that have never been through what I've been through, or
The
even
shit.
similar to what I've been through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if they haven't been through those situations, say it's, I like to use this one because I have a wonderful surgeon and he is amazing. He's done the work on both of my legs since 2007.
Hmm.
And I'm like, he's like, I just wish I knew what you felt. And I'm like, well, go break your leg or go shatter your ankle.
Give me a ball peen hammer and put your hand down, and here we'll start there.
And
It's
I've literally said, and Jamie, this is, I kid you not, I've literally said, I wish someone, how they have these, what is it called? I don't even know what it's called, where you go in and you like, it's fake, but you're in there and it all looks real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like they close you into a room or they close you into something, and it's all like right there. And I've totally like just my
Mm-hmm.
brain won't even come up with the word, but you go in there. I wish they had that for surgeons, for physical therapists, so they literally feel what you're feeling. So I
Yeah.
could go in and I could tell them exactly what I'm feeling, exactly how it does, what's going on, and you go just put it in the computer and it gives them that exact feeling. You put something on them that lets them feel exactly what you're feeling because they, and I've been through it many, many times. I've gone into physical therapy, I've gone into doctors, and they've just looked at me and they're like, oh, you're just not working hard enough. Or, oh, this is in your head. This will go
Oh,
away.
that part. Mm.
And so I truly do. I wish, like, especially these kids coming up now, as they grow, as they learn, put them in a situation that gives them that tester kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you're going into a big position like that, into something like that, I love to throw that part in there.
It's like a
Dude,
pressure
go.
tank. I'm going to
Yeah.
put you in a pressure tank, and I want to test your limits, and I want to see what you're capable of. So then I know where I need to take you. And that's basically what I've built is, for project management in the industry is I've built a pressure tank for project management. And every day and every week I'm perfecting it and making it better because I'm a
Yeah.
perfectionist. I'll own it. I'll embrace it. It can create some delays in my work, but I've been able to finally identify like I'm perfecting. I just need to put the pencil down
Mhm.
and submit. So that's another
Mhm.
skill, and that's a whole nother conversation for a later day. But it's building that pressure tank. You and I, we could have conversations about all kinds of rabbit holes. I was like, hey, let's talk
That's
books.
right.
I was like, I got those too, but creating that pressure tank is what I've built in the construction industry for project management. Start, of course, with my current employer, and you know, coming down off of this 5-week program that I just got done. It's 5 weeks of a pressure tank, and it's
Mhm.
going to get more intense. The I already have. I'm a visionary. Um, I've done the DISC certifications and the culture index and all that stuff. I'm a visionary, and I already know 5 years down the road what this tank is going to look like, and it's going to be intense.
Mhm.
And it's all volunteer based. You want to step in, we're going to test and we're going to see what you can handle. And
Yeah.
it helps us understand where you are. Because
Yeah.
if we can't get the baseline of where you are, then we're not going to know. I use a lot of analogies in life. And I was like, we're a pharmacist, but first I got to know what your problems are so I know how to prescribe it.
Mhm.
And this pressure tank is going to sort out. I'm going to be able to know, like, you tell me scheduling, the pressure tank's going to tell me if you truly know scheduling or not. So I always I always say there's like this fine print before you step in. You're going to sign that release of liability. I'm kidding, but it's I'd be like, you're better off being truthful and honest with me now because it's almost going to be like a lie detector system that you're going to step into. And if you're telling me scheduling, my expectations of you, yeah, are going to be up here. But the
Mhm.
system's going to tell me the
Mhm.
process that you're going to go through is going to tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
And so, but it's not designed to hurt someone. It's not going to be designed to, you know, counsel anybody or make them feel bad. It's literally like, I just need to know where you are.
Yeah.
Now I know what I need to prescribe you so we can make you shit hot in the construction industry really
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole nother topic on the the constraints in the construction industry when it comes to project management and site managers, superintendents, the tradesmen. As you know, with Joey and his capabilities,
Mhm.
it's hard to find good work or good
Mhm.
workers. But
Mhm.
not only that, it's hard to find ones that are skilled.
Yeah.
I go back to willing and able. We've got the willing, we found the willing.
Yep. You got
They're
to
not
make them
able, so they got to come and see me to get able. And so, but yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah, well, and you know, I'm going to go back to you talking about the tank. We use so many similar things.
Yep.
I just did a recording. I do solo recordings every other week, and
Mhm.
I just did a recording on capacity. So that's
Yeah.
what you're trying to do is you're trying to find that capacity. And I
Yep.
use the analogy of a gas tank. You can't use them if their tank is empty. If their fuel tank is
Yeah.
empty, they can't do go. They can't push anywhere. They can't do anything. So you have to, and everybody has their own level of gas tank.
Yeah. Just like a car.
And exactly, if your car's empty, you're stuck on the side of the road,
Yeah.
right?
If
And
you're
if
driving a
their tank
Toyota
is empty,
Corolla, yeah, if you're driving a Toyota Corolla that's only got a 10-gallon tank versus, a Chevy Denali 2500 that's probably got 26-gallon tank,
that's
everybody's
right.
different. So,
That's right. And so if they go in and their tank is on empty of knowledge, you need to know that. And that's just like anybody. If we were talking about pain levels and things like that a while ago, if you go in and you test their levels and see where their levels at, your pain level may be like here and their
yeah.
pain level down here and they're at a 10. You're like, that's like a 50 for me, but you have to kind of design that and see where it's at. And it
Yep.
all just balances out per person. And
Yep.
and people have to see that, and a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, "Oh, we're all the same." No, we're not.
No, we're
We
not.
all have our own good things and good qualities about us, but we all have our step ups. You
Yep.
have to start somewhere and if
Hmm.
you're not one of those just like seek knowledge like you are, it's a little bit harder to do, right? So if you're
Yeah.
one of those that I am a very hands-on person. If you tell me something, okay, I'm going to hear it and I'm going to try to learn it. But if you show me something, I'm going to pick up on it a lot easier. And there's people that are different than that. They can just
Yeah.
pick it up like this. If you just give them like a little email that's got a document in it, they could be like, okay, here it is.
Hmm.
But some people aren't like that. So those are things that you need to learn. And I'm sure that that's something that helps you with is learning where
Yeah.
they that
Yep.
gas tank, that fuel tank, that whatever you want to call it, but it just kind of helps you build from there and make them that much better. Just knowing that hoping that they realize that as they're going through the process is
Yeah.
probably a whole nother story.
Yeah. No, I always preface like all 40 of them, they were fantastic. And, all these things we've talked about and all these life experiences, I didn't realize what it was getting me ready for. And the realization is happening right now with me is I look back at these last 5 weeks and we did a pilot program of this system that was 10 weeks long. We just compressed it to 5 weeks. And it's the ability to stand in front of the room as a subject matter expert to teach, facilitate, read the room, read every student in the room. So when I'm talking about a particular topic, whether it's scheduling or contracts or negotiations or whatever the topic is, I've read the room enough. I know Billy over here knows scheduling and certain things about it, but then over here, Sally doesn't know anything. And I've got to be able to merge all of the different levels of learning into the room into a conversation that everyone can learn from. And it's mind boggling. I had somebody ask me, like, how do you do that? And I was like, I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know how I do it. I just do it. But
It just happens.
it just happens. I haven't figured it out yet. It just happens. But
Okay,
I
let's
go
catch
back
up
to,
with that.
yeah, it's like I have to feel that person. It's like a weird connection. It was like, all right, I know Sam's capability just from talking to him. I can read confidence on each one of them.
Yeah.
There was one particular student that we had. He's super confident, like outside the room, like very talkative, talks a big game, but in the room, super quiet, doesn't talk. And I know he's sucking up every piece of information.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that about him. And I'm like, okay. And I got no judgment. I was like, all right, so you talk a big game, but I'm going to put you in the pressure tank and I'm going to really know how much you know.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but I also have noticed, over the course of the 5 weeks, he's learned a lot about himself too. And he came up to me at the end of the program and he said, I've never had anybody encourage me and empower me to push me where you've pushed me. And I told him, I said, you don't need somebody to do that, really. I said, you need to do that with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sit. And this goes like anybody. This isn't just in construction. This could be anything in life. And I'm guilty. I get lazy. I'm not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we don't have to sit and wait for somebody to tell us that we need to learn something. You just pick up a book and, hey, I'm going to read this and I'm going to learn this. I go back to the every reader is a leader, but not every leader is a reader.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's pushing yourself to learn something new,
Mm-hmm.
but also sitting back and going, I know where I'm also being lazy too. Like my health and fitness has always taken a backseat. And I know I have that problem. And I'm one of those people that constantly falls off the train and then sits there and beats myself up because I fell off the train. So I'm in that little circle. And fortunate to have you, my best friend Deanna, she knows of this vicious circle. And I know she's just, if she listens to this, she's going to sit there and she's going to roll her eyes and be like, oh yeah, that's Jamie. I will get motivated and I will start working out. And like 4 weeks in, I'm like,
Done.
I'm off the train.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm going back and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And then I became a huge fan of Jocko Willink. And he is all about pushing yourself, taking extreme ownership. And you know what it is? It's just damn laziness on my part. I'm just being, you're going to use the beat button. I am being fucking lazy. And it's the truth. It's the truth. I'm being fucking lazy. I'm not doing what I should be doing. So, but yeah, anyway, all kinds of stuff.
And everybody, there's so many people out there like that though. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in fitness. It could be in goal setting personally, right? Personally setting goals on your future.
Yeah.
And you want to make something in the future, but you're like, well, you make all these excuses. And I'm not going to say that I don't do that because I literally do that in business all the time. I'm like, I don't understand this. I don't understand this. And one thing I'll say is the more you say that, the harder it gets. Because the more you sit there and say, I don't understand this, well, you're telling yourself, I don't understand this. So then it's just absorbing into your system.
Yep.
And then it just becomes this big circle. Like you said, you fall off the wagon and you're like, I just can't do this today. I can't do this today. I'm busy this day. I've got this to do. And then you dig a hole, right? You get that hole dug and then you start trying to climb out of that hole. Sorry, she shook. And then you start trying to climb out of that hole and it might not have taken you very long to dig that hole, but it's so deep now, it's going to take you forever to get your head just high enough that you can breathe.
Oh, yeah. Setting expectations for yourself that are too achievable. Guilty. Yeah. I am guilty as all get out. And, I hope you don't mind we're going into the fitness discussion. And it's, in my mind, I'm my 26-year-old self that used to bench 150 pounds and run like a gazelle and work out twice a day and not injure myself. And so I go down to the gym and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. No, you can't. Your body definitely tells you, it's like, no, you're going to start off with the bar and you're going to bench the bar for probably the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And if you can't do the bar, then you start with 10-pound weights. But it's like, you can fall prey to this is what I did do. And because I can't do that anymore, I'm a failure. And so
Mhm.
then you get into that vicious circle, and I'm guilty of it. I'm a failure because I can't do this, but I
Mhm.
can't do that. So I'm going to try it again. And then if I can't do it, then now I'm a failure. And then you sit here and you go around in that circle. And that is something that I have recently learned to accept. So I'm starting out small. I am very excited to let you know. I've got a delivery coming.
Yay.
And my elliptical is finally showing up.
I want
Um,
one so bad. I want one so
yeah,
bad.
I finally invested in an elliptical because I'm getting
Yeah.
myself out of that vicious cycle. I was trying to force myself. I'm going to go run. I'm going to go walk on concrete. I'm going to go get a treadmill. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And the elliptical, I remember I used to love doing the elliptical because it was easier on joints. And
Yep.
so I finally got one coming. I invested in one. It delivers next Tuesday. And so I'm super
Yay.
excited. I was going to pick for it to deliver on my birthday, but I was like, nope, the day before is perfect. So,
There you go.
but
There you go.
yeah, so I'm going to
I
start
love
out.
the
I'm
elliptical.
going to just start
Love
slow, just slow.
yeah.
And if I can do,
Yeah.
20 minutes of elliptical, just get that body movement going. And just start there. Stretching is going to be critical for me. I mean, as you know, I've got my foot problems, and you and I could talk feet problems for days. But
Yes.
just working through tendonitis and tarsal tunnel syndrome and all the things with my feet and my knees. Yeah. So
Hmm.
super
Yeah.
excited. But yeah, so I am not going to allow my elliptical to turn into a clothing drying rack.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so it is going down into the gym area
Okay.
downstairs.
Yeah.
We do have a weight rack and everything down there. It's made by Rogue. But I need cardio to get me loosened up before I can do weights again. I figured
Yeah.
that out the hard way.
Mhm.
Um, but I do have weights and all that set up. So once I get moving, so I'm probably going to be chiming in and talking to you about when I'm ready for that. But
Yeah.
for right now, I'm going to focus on some cardio and some movement and
Mhm.
getting my body loosened up and getting
Yeah.
used to at least doing that 3 times a week and then slowly increasing, 4 or 5 times a week at a minimum, at least doing 20, 30 minutes of nice cardio, not hard, but just get the blood flowing. So
Yeah. Well, and to listen to your body with that because, 20
yeah.
minutes might be where you need to start. If
Yep.
you need to start a little lower, focus on 10 minutes if that's what it is. I always tell my people too, whenever I'm talking to anybody, I mean, I do my mindful movements every 5 days a week. And that's what I tell them is set a timer.
Yeah.
And you get to that point where your body is saying, see where that timer's at.
Yeah.
And then do another minute added to it every time.
Hmm.
Just do that.
So there was something crazy that I ended up learning, and it was about glucose levels in your body. And so I've got a row machine downstairs. It's a Concept 2 row machine. And one day I go down to row early in the morning. So I just drank some water and I went down to row. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to do 1,500 meters, or there's a 2,000 meter, and I'm going to do it in this time. I've done it tons of times before. I got into that, and I think 10 minutes in, I was completely exhausted. I was tired. I couldn't even finish the workout, and I didn't know what was wrong. And so I started doing some research. AI was pretty cool. We named ours Roscoe. And I asked Roscoe, I was like, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? And he talked about glucose levels. And he's like, do yourself a favor and basically eat some protein and a little bit of carbohydrates before your workout in the morning, get plenty of water and so forth. And then try that workout again. And no kidding, complete change of getting
Mhm.
something to eat before you go work out, not anything big, I think even there's like protein shakes that you can take, but I've got to look into that because back in my 20s, I was like, we didn't have to worry about that. It was just like, go and just do it. And your body just, I didn't have any reaction. And so it was a wild
Yeah.
experience for me. I thought there was something truly wrong with me because I was like, why am I out of gas 10 minutes into this workout? And I just
Mm-hmm.
can't do it. And yeah,
Yeah.
my body just totally signaled me and was just like, nope. So,
Yeah. And it
yeah.
will too. Our body's a beautiful thing. Another thing that you could do is like resistance bands. You don't have to jump straight
Yep.
into weights. Do body weight stuff, do resistance bands. And with resistance bands, you can adjust the tension level,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the type of resistance that you have. So if you need it just for the pressure, just to kind of feel what you're doing so that muscle does engage just a tiny bit, but you're
Yeah.
not ready to throw those weights on there and stuff, you can always do that kind of thing. But the whole glucose level, I knew exactly what you were about. Did you see it in my face? I knew exactly what you were going
You're
to
like,
say.
oh, shoot.
Over
I was
here.
like, this is a real thing. It's real. So I was like, what is wrong with me? So then you
It
start
is.
looking at it, and I was like, is this the reason why I'm tired in the morning before I go to work?
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
cup of coffee, this, that, and the other. And I was like, no, it's
yeah.
now that I'm older, in my mid 40s, um, food and diet.
Makes a
In our
difference.
20s, I was like, I could eat anything I wanted. Even into my 30s, I was still kind of, like I could eat anything I wanted. And then I swear it's like a light switch. We could go down the whole hormone route and damn
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
those suckers. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, all right, now that I'm in my mid 40s, all these things that
Yeah.
I've been hearing about amongst our group of ladies, I'm like, it's
They're
coming true.
here.
They're here. It's here. And I'm like, what is this? Why am I waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning feeling like I'm sitting in a furnace and it's
Yep.
40 degrees outside? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what is this?
And 5 minutes later, you need that double blanket on top of
I
you.
know. I was like, and I sit here and I'm like, it's all in my head. I'm crazy.
No, you're
I'm
not.
crazy. And no, it's a real thing. And I was just, yeah, and I'm like, how do I fix this? I love reading and researching stuff.
Yeah.
You always have to be careful with the whole AI thing because it
Yep.
can be very inaccurate. And so
Yeah.
that's a scary place. That's a whole nother topic we could sit around a campfire and talk about.
Yeah.
But it's just understanding the body
Mm-hmm.
and what is it doing. And we weren't born with a user manual, but if we were, we would all have a unique user manual.
That's what I was going to say. When you said what's going on with your body, it's not every body though. Everybody
Yeah,
is completely different in everything. Yes, we have all the same organs.
everything.
Yes, we have everything is the same, but it all functions differently. I
Yeah,
mean, who knew that I was going to find out that I have this rare genetic mutation that nobody's ever heard of?
you're just special.
That I am special.
Yeah, I got a genetic mutation. I got red hair. So but yeah, you
I
got
wish
a
that was
very
the
unique
mutation
body.
that I had. But yes,
Yeah,
we all have that.
yeah.
So I agree. A unique owner's manual for everybody, and it has to change with each person.
I mean,
So
wouldn't that be cool? You're born and your
really
parents are
extraordinary
sitting there
thing.
the day you're born and they're like, all right, when she's 46 years old, she's going to go through X. It's
I know. I
one day we
know.
probably will come with user manuals the way science is moving, but yeah, we cherry
And,
pluck
and
which genes
I
it.
mean, to a point that would be good, right? To a point that would be good.
Yeah.
So you have some sort of idea of what the heck is going on with like women. Okay, men, y'all suck. I'm just saying it. I mean, you suck. You just do not. And I get that. I'm sure they have issues. I'm sure they have
Yeah.
things going on, but
Yep.
women, and then sometimes if you're a believer in this, Eve, I want to punch you in the mouth right now. I want to punch you in the mouth. I just don't like it.
my
It's
my
your
bull my,
fault.
my bullshit indicator is pegged out right now, and I'm tired of it. But yeah, it's very interesting. The bodily experience. Um, in the I would say it's probably within the last 12 to 24 months that it's just like, what is this?
Mhm.
And, I'm talking with, some other friends of mine, and they're like, oh, I don't experience that. I don't have that. And so it makes me feel like there's something wrong with me. And then I talk to other ladies like down at the lake, and it's, mutual friends of ours are like, oh, she's, she's got that going on. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
interesting on all of that.
there's a whole world of differences, and I'm going to just tell you, I am going through menopause for the second time in my
Oh,
life.
damn.
I went through it at 28 and I'm going through it again now. And God bless Joey's heart because the changes that it makes in a woman's body. So I mean, I guess I should give the men credit because they have to deal with this. They
Yeah.
have to put up with us when we don't know what's going on. They really don't know what's going on. So they're
Yeah.
like, let me just stand here and be quiet and no quick movements.
Yeah.
No quick
Not a
movements.
sound. Don't make any sudden moves.
Just here. We're gonna stay right here. And I have definitely experienced that with Joey because he's like, what can I do?
Yeah. That's awesome. So,
What can
Denise,
I do?
I have truly, truly enjoyed our conversation. And I mean, there's a lot of the rabbit holes we could go down even deeper.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for
and we'll reserve that maybe for another come together.
absolutely. Gonna have to come
And
back.
yeah, I was like, hey, you want to talk suicide? More than willing to. More than willing to talk more about my story there. I know a lot of people can relate to that. We want to talk philosophy and theory. We want to talk fitness and health. We want to talk about that vicious cycle. Whatever you want. I was
Right.
like, love to chat about it. Talk books, whoever, just life. And yeah,
I-
more than willing to chat, but cannot thank you enough. You have really this has felt completely natural, so I really truly love this. Maybe the
Well,
next one we'll do in person. So
yeah, that would be cool. We could just have the
yeah,
whole setup and just like do it, maybe even live.
that would be so cool. We might have to borrow somebody's big deck down at the lake.
We know somebody, don't we? A beautiful
We know
view.
somebody.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So, we are getting closer to the end. So, I want to ask you.
yeah,
I have normal questions that I like to just bring out before I close out, and we've actually talked about a few of those. But um, grit to me, it's grace, resilience, intentional trust, and thrive. Because you have to have all of those to get through life. You have
yes,
to give yourself grace. You have to be very intentional with everything that you do. You have to be
Mhm.
that resilient in some way. Not everybody has the resilience of everybody else. We've talked about different bodies and stuff. Trusting yourself, trusting what your body's telling you, trusting what your mind is telling you, trusting other people when they're trying to help you, and then thriving through that whole thing and getting through that little storm to the other side and knowing that it's coming.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. So,
Hmm.
what would grit mean to you? It
So
doesn't
I'm
have
glad you
to
gave me this question in advance because I actually wrote this down. Because it took me a minute. Because I know
be.
everybody's got some level of grit. And my mind immediately went to the beach, the sandy beaches. And I'm like, I'm feeling that sand in my hand, and I'm like, that's pretty gritty.
Yeah.
But grit is beautiful. If you're sitting on that ocean, grit is a beautiful thing. um, so I wrote down a couple of things. And I've got my little notes here. You know, grit for me, it's not being the loudest person in the room. It's perseverance, strength, honesty, truth, just a lot of things. Carrying a mission to support those around you and putting your own personal agenda aside. It's grit keeps you moving, going forward, pushing through the difficult times in life and the positive impacts that you make, whether they're known or unknown. Because we don't know. Somebody might be listening to this podcast and it may give them hope, So it's got to take me to push through the uncomfortable zone of having this conversation today, hoping that somebody out there is listening that now realizes going, wow, what I'm experiencing is actually normal in its life and I'm not alone. So I believe grit has shaped me through military. It's shaped me through life's experiences, loss, pressure. Yeah, I've had my arguments. I've had to stand my ground, stand up for myself. And it's just the reason why I keep going forward. So I look at grit as a beautiful thing. It's the sand on the beach at sunset. And so just keep going.
Yeah. You got to get through the day to get to the sunset on the beach anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you have to make it through to get there. That was perfect. That was a perfect thing. That was I love that. I love
it. It's I used to think negatively about some stuff. People would be like, oh, why are you so aggressive? And I'm like, first off, let me correct you. That's not aggression. That is passion. But if you want to label it as aggression, I will embrace that. Thank you very much. It's not though. Because anybody who throws that out as aggression clearly tells me they have not taken the time to get to know me. Mm-hmm. I am a very passionate person, very caring, kind of wrapping this back up to the very first question you asked me. I avidly care about people. I'm kind of that sheepdog a little bit, protecting the flock. And I'm a type of person, somebody messes with my flock. Oh man, it's not cool. I was like, especially like when you have a team of people, somebody who messes with the team in a not good way. Yeah, you're going to get the very passionate side of me. Yeah. Aggression, everybody has the ability to be aggressive. Yeah. To me, aggressive is probably more of a very detrimental activity or something like that. But passion, yeah. Standing up for people, doing the right thing. Yeah. So more passion, more energy, more energy. I go back to that meme about that. So
yeah, that's a good way to put it. So where can people find you? Did you get that written down?
I did. It's actually easier than what I thought. I was like, oh man, I got to write all these things down. So I can be easily found. Personally, I have LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. I am just not on TikTok. I never invested in TikTok. I didn't TikTok. Social media is a little bit of a nemesis of mine, but a necessary evil when you're a business owner. I was like, if there's any business owner out there listening, definitely get yourself social media, learn it. but don't get stuck up in it. People can find me at it's at Jamie Killinger. That's my handle on Instagram, Facebook. I am in the midst of changing my last name to Milburn. Finally getting around to that. Uh, so if you look up Jamie Killinger in Milburn, I am there. Warrior Outfitter, very easy at Warrior Outfitter. That's our handle on Instagram, Facebook, social media. Always recommend sign up for a newsletter. You can go to warrioroutfitter.com, scroll to the bottom of the page. You can sign up for a newsletter and learn about who we are and what we've got going on, and also find out our latest sales and all that kind of stuff on our products that we have coming. There's an About Us page on there that you'll learn more about us, which we've discussed here. So that's where you'll be able to find us. I'm an open story, open book. And ask me any questions you can. So
Yeah. Awesome. So last question that I like to ask people is, from what we've talked about so many things, but from what we've talked about, what is one thing, or is there one thing that you would like for someone to know right now that might be going through any similar situation that you've been in, that you might could say to them right now that you think would have helped you when you were going through yours?
Don't take everything so personal. It's not any of my business to know what other people think of me. And try not to get wrapped up into that. If people want to cast judgment and talk about me behind my back, that's fine. If that makes you happy, go for it. It's none of my business. As long as it makes you happy, that's all I want. Just be happy. And if there's a rumor or something that's out there about you as a person, don't waste the time or energy trying to correct it. Just live your life on life's terms and the way you want to live it. I go back to what we talked about. Your true, honest friends. And this even goes to family. Is that your true, honest friends and family that truly support you and the decisions you're making will be there. Whether they agree with you or not, they will be there. The hard pill to swallow is when family is not there, or you're not living your life according to their terms. And that's where you'll see family members sit there and have a problem, or not agree with you, or have a fit or a problem because you're not doing what they want you to do. If you're doing something that's good for you and healthy for you, and it's going to grow and it's expanding your knowledge and your abilities, do it. If they've got an issue with it, that's their problem.
Yeah.
Don't make other people's problems your problem. So it's focus on you, yourself. This is going to sound like a selfish thing. Have boundaries. You can't help others if you don't help yourself first. Go back to the gas tank. If you're running on empty, how do you help others? You can't. So you got to take care of yourself, recharge yourself, make sure you're whole, and then go out and help. So, but live life on life's terms. Don't worry about don't make other people's problems your problems, and it's not anybody's business it's not your business what everybody else thinks of you. So
I agree. 100% agree. Man, Jamie, this has been an amazing conversation. Like we could have kept going for another hour or two just with the conversation. So I definitely want to make it again. We definitely need to plan to do this again in a new conversation. Please remember, anybody in the audience that is watching this or listening to this today, know that no journey that you're on, you don't have to do it alone. You do not have to do it alone.
Yep.
So, well, with that, thanks, Jamie, so much for hanging out with me. If you'll hang out after I close, I will talk you through the rest of it. I'll take that part out. But Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks so much, Jamie, for hanging out with me today and having conversation. And we will see you guys next time.
Thank you for being here today. If this episode encouraged you, please share it, leave a review, and turn on those notifications so we can continue to grow together. Remember, strength isn't about being untouched. It's about choosing who you become in the process. And wherever you are in your journey, you are not in this alone. This is the grit of the matter. So keep moving forward.